with us. Oh, okay, and there we go. We are live. Hello, everybody. Sorry we're running late. I'm rather disheveled here. I was out of town at a gaming convention last weekend, and I'm only home for 4 days, and I have to be going out of town again for a family function. Just too much going on in between. So I see in the side here we've got Critical Cripple and Orla and Dave and Heat Shield and Nerdy Rodent. How are you all doing today? Are people hearing me okay? Is this working? Is my audio working?
I hear you. Do you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Doc, but
Hmm.
when I'm looking at the YouTube screen, I don't see my icon doing anything.
It looks like it to me. I've got the YouTube up on my TV,
Yeah, I've got the
so
YouTube on.
I see it when you talk. So like the ring.
Okay, but do you hear me talking?
Mm-hmm. Or
Okay.
on YouTube.
Okay, but do you hear me talking?
Yeah.
Okay. Are people in the side chat hearing anything?
That I couldn't tell you. I'm somewhat cut off from the side chat at the moment.
Um, it should be working, but we need to know if we're getting a response here. And I gave everyone a hello and didn't get anything at all back, so that makes me wonder.
Yeah, there's a lot of other streams going on too. I think Skylar has a premiere going. Glober Mom just set one off, so
Yeah, but no, I
a
can see that
premiere or
there's
a
people
stream.
in the side chat there, and
Yeah.
unless everybody already gave up and left. Oh,
I can't see a number of people in the YouTube thing, but at the
well,
moment.
it says 3 watching. Unfortunately, if that's counting us, then there's only one other
Yeah.
person.
Critical just said he can hear
Okay,
all the
all
voices,
right.
so.
Okay, good. So you can hear us okay. Okay. Uh, so not sure where everybody else is at right now. Ah,
Yep, I don't know.
so
Yeah, I don't know where they are. I think they all found my tracking devices.
uh, um,
Yep. So I've never been to a convention before.
really, not of any sort.
Not that I can think of.
Uh, well, I do 2 gaming conventions a year. It's my only chance to get out of this little town and actually get to some place that I can actually act like myself without causing trouble.
Awesome.
So this one in particular, this last weekend, Galaxicon was actually a gaming science fiction convention that was put on by an LGBT group. So
Cool.
besides the having the role playing, this one's pretty heavy on role playing, which I'm not that into. I'm mostly into board games. So they
Hmm.
had the board gaming, but then with the science fiction stuff, they also had some interesting panels, mostly on writing workshops and such.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to one, and it would even be cool to go to one I could dress up as something, but I never really had the money, for a costume, much less a convention or whichever's cheaper. I couldn't afford it, or the more
yeah.
expensive one. So
Well, unfortunately, they're expensive just because of the hotel room.
yeah.
When I was living in St. Paul, it was no big deal going to Con of the North because then it was local. So then all I had to pay was the actual, registration for the convention. I didn't have to pay for a hotel room or anything.
Yeah. What all does it take to? I mean, once you finally get there and have your housing worked out, what all does it take to get into a convention?
Um, well, getting into it's generally just, you know, paying the registration, which is basically your weekend pass for everything. Some of the conventions they'll have, especially if they have like celebrity guests or that, they may have extra fees for certain events.
Hmm.
Generally, I don't really care about celebrities anyway, so I've never really gotten into those. And this one, like I said, we had some writers' workshops and that, so we had a few authors in that, but nobody that had any real celebrity status, so nothing
Hmm.
huge like that.
Cool.
But
How much is the registration fee usually?
oh, that varies quite widely with the conventions.
Hmm.
Um, with the gaming conventions I've been going to, it's usually only like $50 for the weekend. So, like I say, the real expense is the hotel cost.
Yeah. Still, $50 is a pretty penny, but like you said, that covers you for the weekend. Is that like
Yeah,
2 days or 3 days or?
most of them are usually at least Saturday and Sunday. A lot of them like start Friday afternoon, so
Hmm.
start Friday afternoon and run till Sunday evening. Uh,
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to go to one, especially like a Star Trek one, or I am into role playing games and computer games. So anything involving that would be cool. Comic books, of course.
okay, Dave's asking that if money wasn't an object, what would you dress up as?
I guess it would
Um,
depend on the con. Um, I am really into a role playing game called Vampire the Masquerade, and I imagine there are
yep. Uh,
cons involving that.
at Con of the North, they usually have an event for that.
Yeah, so it'd be totally cool to take up some goth garb and go as a vampire persona.
Yeah. The big one they had at this convention was every night they ran a session of werewolf.
Cool.
It's
Yeah,
uh,
I'm familiar with werewolf.
yeah, yeah. I actually have a Triceratops mask that I had actually made for a Con of the North convention many years ago. So that was the only time I'd gone in costume. I'd like to do it
Mm.
more, but as you said, it ends up being extra money, and I'm pretty much doing these things on a shoestring anyway.
Mm.
You know, it helps that Sloth Girl, goes with me to share the travel expenses. So to share the cost of the hotel room and getting down there.
Yep.
Yeah, Orla was saying she'd like to go
Yep.
to HorrorCon, but she'd have to take the kids with her, and yeah, that can get into quite a lot.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I've been happy to see. Con of the North is going into its 28th year, and one of the things that I've really liked to see, really like, is that it's become a generational thing of people who are bringing their kids with them, and it's an
Cool.
all-volunteer convention. Actually, it's kind of weird because they did all the other conventions around were getting. So they decided to start their own, and even now it's completely volunteer. They refuse any corporate sponsorship because they don't want to feel that they owe any company anything, and they don't want to be promoting any companies.
Hmm.
And
That's cool.
now that it's gone more than 20 years, a lot of the top level organization stuff is actually being picked up by the kids of the people who started it. So
That's
it
very
is
cool.
literally being passed down to the next generation. It's a very nice way. Not
Cool.
something that any of my girls got into though.
Mm.
Yeah, Critical saying if he had 4 kids, he'd want them to go as minions. And actually, if I wasn't obligated to go out of town this weekend, um, one of the local bars was going to have a Halloween costume contest. And Sloth Girl was going to paint me up, and I was going to go as a minion.
Cool.
Mm. So I got the overalls and all, and figured I could, use the jar rings from the canning jars to make a set of the goggles. Oh,
Cool. Cool.
last year I'd gone to the bar as Willie Nelson, and a lot of people said I should have won the contest, but up here everything's nepotism. So of course the
Yeah.
winner wound up being the judge's cousin. So even on the smallest things around here, everybody's related,
Yeah.
but it goes right up to the political levels. There's people on the sheriff's department who are there because of who they know, not what they know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sketchy stuff.
Yeah, critical. Yeah, I do the purple minion. Although I don't think that I could be that out there. Yeah, I'm still rather an introvert. I'm not good and don't like drawing attention to myself much.
Yeah. I usually don't either myself.
Yeah, or actually, when I haven't been able to dress up as Halloween, I just tell people that I'm cleverly disguised as a responsible adult. I've been trying to do human for years, but I can never seem to pull it off.
It's not easy. It really isn't. I failed many a human pageant.
Oh, but yeah, I'm still winding down, and I've still got my bins of games and stuff that I took with me in the middle of the floor here, and I can't really wind down because I'm getting stressed up over having to spend next weekend pretty much locked up with all my brothers, which everyone in the family thinks is such a wonderful thing of all the brothers getting together, and I'm like, yeah. Which is why the subject for tomorrow night's chat is dealing with family.
Yep, that'll be an interesting one. Unfortunately, I'll be working, but
Yeah. Well, listen into what parts of it you can. Oh, hey, Tria.
yep. Hiya, Tria.
Tria, you gonna come in and join us? I know you were talking some about doing cosplay with your sister and that.
Yeah, that's probably something I could get into as well.
Oh, I'd love to
Co-
do the cosplay if I could,
yeah,
really afford to put out the money for the materials. Trying to do it on the cheapest is difficult, especially when you see the way some of these people come in.
yeah,
You see some people that, clearly they have spent a couple $1,000s to put their costume together.
yeah. And I'd like to do a whole lot of different stuff. I'd like to do superhero stuff, sci-fi stuff. I'd like to do a Star Wars convention as a Jedi, a Star Trek convention as a Klingon.
Yeah, I'd like to do one of the comic book conventions and do a sci fi thing. I'd probably wind up going as Doctor Strange.
Cool. Doctor Strange is very cool. I'm more of a Marvelite myself, but I do like DC.
Oh,
But
same here. Actually, I don't really care for most of the DC. I'm entirely the Marvel.
yeah, I mean, I love the Justice League cartoons and all that. Um, but I just tended more toward the Marvel. Uh, Back when I was a kid collecting, it was mostly Marvel stuff. So
Yeah.
that's where the bulk of my knowledge is.
Hey, Pirate Kitty. Yeah, that's the same thing with me. That the bulk of my knowledge is from the Marvel comics of the 70s and 80s. I haven't really kept up on them, so they've changed a lot of things around.
Oh yeah, I get snippets here and there every once in a while. I'll surf the internet and find like I mean you can go on like Wikipedia and find like brief descriptions of the stuff that's happened. Kind of what is that? It'd be like comics for dummies or whatever.
Yep. Hey, Jen. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I was still looking at the YouTube window instead of the StreamYards,
That's all right.
so I didn't see you come
Hi
in.
Jen.
Hi, do you like my name for the day?
I do. I was just gonna say I love you the name, dude.
How's it going for you today?
Oh, well enough, I guess. Dealing with some personal stuff, but
Oh,
it's mostly personal stuff in a good way, just a foolish way.
okay. Well, I hope it all works out for you.
Oh, it won't work out the way I'd like it to work out, but it'll work out just fine.
In a foolish way, so it involves clowns.
Hey, Tria.
No, it involves unrequited love.
Oh dear. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
That's all right.
Well,
I'm used to it.
I only mentioned clowns to bring jolliness into your life.
Mm.
oh, I thought it was
I'm
to
not a clown
instill
fan.
fear and panic.
I'm not a clown phobic, but I'm just not a fan of clowns
Yeah.
unless they're like 20 or 30 packed in a Volkswagen.
And then you light it on fire. Oh, that would be terrible waste of a classic Volkswagen. But
Indeed.
I'm imagining a crashed car, clown car, and then an ambulance pulls up, and then clown paramedic after clown paramedic comes out, and there's about 15 minutes of that, and then they pull out injured clown after injured clown, and they all manage to fit them all in the ambulance.
yeah, I
Bam, weird
remember.
like that.
I think it was a Far Side cartoon that there was about a clown car crashed and that they keep pulling him out and they keep having to order up more ambulances because it's like, wait, there's another one in here.
I could see that as a bizarro cartoon.
I
I'm
love
gonna go.
silly stuff like that.
So
I'm
how
gonna
you
go.
doing today, Tria?
I'm gonna go make a coffee.
I'm
I'll be right back.
I'm tired. I'm waiting to make my coffee until a little bit later so that I don't like crash before my stream tonight.
Hmm.
Oh,
Okay, what time tonight are
I
you going on?
8 p.m.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how long I'm gonna go for. I'm trying to keep it under an hour, but I'm looking at the material that I have, and even with all the stuff that I pulled out that I didn't feel was necessary for the conversation, it still looks like a lot.
Hey, kitty.
So, hi, kitty.
Yep. So what was your
Meow.
topic tonight?
Hello.
The link between HSDD and hyposexuality disorder and asexuality.
Uh,
Basically, asexuality was classed as a mental disorder.
well, so
Oh
was
dear.
being gay at one time. Hopefully they'll progress.
That's actually kind of what the same person who came up with that is the person who created the diagnosis of HSDD.
Hmm.
Kaplan is to blame for all that shit. Like, she's not the only one, but she's like the big one. So, and I did not know this. I always knew that we were treated like we were mentally diseased, but I did not know that she had included asexuality as being under HSDD. She didn't describe it that way, but one of the ways she described HSDD is like classic textbook what a good portion of aces feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be going
And
into that tonight.
Okay. Well, that'll be interesting. Hopefully I'll
is
be
it
home in time for that.
is it still considered a mental disorder or?
That's hard to say. The DSM-5 does not count it as a mental disorder. However, you have to
Okay.
identify as ACE, and the way that they've defined it is still problematic.
Hmm.
And not every professional agrees with the assessment, and not every professional is aware of that change in the DSM-5.
Hmm.
So, and I'll be going into that as well.
Cool.
So that's going to be an in-depth discussion. If you are having a rough time and are not up for something that is like super serious, I don't blame you if you don't want to watch. But if you can watch it, you should, because the biggest way to fight the problem that I am talking about tonight is bringing asexuality up to the front.
Yep.
and having the discussion about it, because the uh, the medicines that I am talking about tonight, as well, on top of the mental disorder discussions, um, I don't think are targeted towards asexuals, but the reasons that they exist are problematic to me. And I'll also go into why tonight. So,
Okay. Well, we'll look for that tonight.
yeah.
As for right now, let's get back to the topic we
Okay.
had here. And
Cons?
I know you were saying about, doing some cosplay stuff with your sister, so
Yeah, I've got to do a lot of updates. I'm a huge procrastinator. Uh I do things last minute, and if there's not really a set deadline, I'll never get it done. Um but
yeah.
the first cosplay that I really actually worked on and built stuff for was my little sister. Um she is and if you're in Florida, you can wave to her. She's Sky Badger 52 is her Quidditch name. And she dresses up as the Hufflepuff Seeker for her house, and for Harry Potter. And I stitched up her robes and helped her get gear together. I need to redo the leather pads, for her braces and for her arms. But I did all of the clothing for that, or put together all the clothing for that, and then a friend of ours made a broom for her, which which Hufflepuff wants a upgrade to her broom. Her broom is a little bit hard for her to manage,
Hmm.
and also does not look like the Harry Potter aesthetic at all. Um, but yeah, I stitched up her robes for her, bought her um, females baseball pants. I went and got the kind of pants that people wear for softball, or baseball, and I made her gauntlets. Unfortunately, I made it out of really crappy fabric that did not last. And also made her leg guards so that her shoes look like that they're boots and stuff. So, and then eventually I'm gonna sew up a 50s style dress and overcoat, and go as one of my RPG characters that I use in Harry Potter stuff. Her name is Sabrine. So, but yeah, I am a baby cosplayer. If you ever see any pictures and you're like, "Huh, that's not really that good," it's because I haven't done a lot of cosplaying, and also I'm not photogenic. So keep that in mind.
Do you ever watch the Adam, what's his name from Mythbusters? The
Oh,
some of the
Adam
Yeah.
Savage.
Adam
cosplay
Savage.
things. Yeah, Adam Savage. Some of the stuff he does for cosplay, his astronaut suits and things. It's amazing what
Yeah.
that guy builds.
Yeah, he really gets into it. Which I'm really not surprised by that, to be honest. Um, I can't remember. It's from a Mizuyaki film, Studio Ghibli. But there's a particular character that he goes as, and nobody recognizes him because basically it's like you're
It's
completely
No Face.
enclosed. Yeah, No Face. Thank you. I couldn't remember, but
I
he goes
just
as
saw a
No
picture of
Face.
it lately.
Yeah. I am nowhere near that skill level or even that formal. Um, I've been told I'm not a real cosplayer quite often.
Oh, fuck
And
that
it's
shit.
Well, that's
basically
bullshit.
like everybody has to start somewhere. Some people start off like
Yeah.
really, really
Exactly.
detailed and then there's other people like me who are just like, look, I am not perfect in any aspect of my life. Getting perfection out of me is never going to happen. Like,
Well, some
hell,
people
half
take
the
it way too
time,
seriously. The idea of the conventions is supposed to be to have fun.
Well, I don't think it's taking it too seriously. It's judging others for what they do. You know,
Yeah.
mhm,
it's like,
Well, and
okay,
that's
you're
what
yeah.
expert at something, great. Don't put down the person who's not an expert. You
that's
know,
what Doc and I were talking about, at the start was that just the cost that some of these people will put thousands of dollars into a costume, and it's like some
Mm.
of us can barely afford to go to the convention at all. So, we're
There's
trying to put together a costume out of what we have on hand.
yeah, I don't do the costume, but there's one character that if I ever did decide to try and cosplay, I would go as, and that's Talma from The Legend of Zelda. I have a screen share of the character if you want to put it up real quick. I think I could pull her off, except her costume's a little bit detailed.
see, I'd have to go as the robot B9 from the TV series Lost in Space because we have similar body shapes.
Well, I mean that's the only thing about cosplay that the reason that I would never consider cosplaying is because I'm not a stick figure, so I could not pull off, say, Princess Zelda. But I think I could pull off this character.
See, here's the thing. I
That's a cool
could
costume.
pull I could pull off Princess Zelda in getting around the body shape
Mhm.
because I know how to do the alterations to make
Mhm.
it look right and still look flattering.
Right.
The thing is that I could do her style, but I could not do her coloring
Mhm.
because unfortunately with a lot of anime characters
Mhm.
and a lot of Japanese RPG characters, their coloring is so different from mine. There's a lot of white
Mhm.
in those outfits. I cannot do
Mhm.
white.
Hmm.
White and I do not get along.
Well, I know there's a lot of arguments, in the cosplay community as far as doing people different body shapes or different, ethnicities. And
Well, there's something to be said about ethnicity, and I'm gonna and a lot of people are probably gonna be upset for me saying this. It's hard enough for Black people to get enough representation as it is. I completely understand why people would feel invaded if a white person took a Black character and cosplayed them. I tend to avoid it because I understand that idea. If things were more balanced, I would not. If things were more balanced, I would be like, you're overreacting. But considering our history, what's going on right now, how much representation they have had to fight for, I can understand why they're feeling invaded. So I tend not to do things of a different ethnicity. However, I don't care if a Black person or a person of color does a white character.
mm,
I
I
don't
don't.
give a damn. I know
I
that sounds hypocritical, but
I agree.
see. I actually disagree. I think you should cosplay as whoever the fuck you want to.
yeah,
Just don't do blackface.
right.
Period. I
I
mean,
would agree. And
like,
also, as I was part of an interracial couple and living in the black neighborhoods, when all these things flared up, it seems to really be the white people who are trying to be PC who get upset about it. The black people generally didn't care.
that's something that I've
my
that I've seen
experience
quite
has
a
been
bit.
a little bit different. My experience has been different. I have had Black people, especially where I'm living, tell white people to fuck off with their characters and leave their characters alone. to let Black people have their representation and for us to stop taking from them. Keep in mind, I also live about an hour away from a Civil War battleground, and my city ranges from an actual city to Redneckville. So that might have a part to play in it too. But my
Like I
experience
live in
has been,
Atlanta, just for location context.
yeah, I live in Jacksonville, Florida, and race relations here have been getting bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that has a part to play in it.
I live in
Um,
Minnesota, and we say, "There's black people. Where? Where?"
yeah. So I've pretty much been told by the community here what links that I have is to fuck off, leave those characters alone. You have plenty of other characters to choose from. You know, don't take over their representation too, because whites do have a tendency here to try to take things that are not theirs and culturally appropriate them and
See,
then mock Black
well,
So,
people
but
for the things that they culturally appropriated.
okay,
It does happen a lot
mocking
here.
mocking is not cool, but you can't tell somebody what they can and can't like. I like the character of Zoe Washburn from Firefly. Love that character. Thought she was awesome. If I want to
Love
cosplay
Firefly.
as her, I'm going to cosplay as her because I like the character and I like the person. I'm obviously not going to paint my face black. And it's obviously not going to come across because the problem with Firefly cosplay is you just look like you're wearing clothes, maybe a little
mhm.
bit
Yeah.
Western clothes. So that
Yeah.
character, people are going to ask me who I am. And then maybe after I say, oh, I'm Zoe Washburn from Firefly, then they might look at me and be like, oh, okay, now I see the clothes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but the situation down, like I said,
yeah,
the situation
down
here
in
is
there
here
is
is
different.
yeah, and that's where I'm coming from is I have dozens of characters that look kind of like me that I can fit my personality to. I don't have to specifically go for a particular Black character because I have nothing else.
Yeah.
I can
Right.
go for anything else under the sun. I literally can.
Mm.
And that's part of the
Yeah.
argument is I can go at, there's like thousands of characters for me to
Well,
choose from.
the
Mm.
ethnicity thing aside, then there's the question of body shape.
Now body shape I will cut a bitch over. Uh
Yeah, and
because
I think
that's
that's
ableist
ridiculous.
crap.
Yeah, to to tell people that they can only go as particular characters because of the body shape and well, I've never made any secret that my preference tends to be for bigger women anyway. So, like,
Um
most of the way they're drawn, these superhero characters and that, most of them I find way too skinny, and I don't find those at all attractive.
um yeah, we haven't really had any problems, but I think it's mostly because I look big and scary when I'm taking care of my sister. Um but a lot of people in wheelchairs here, you can't go as that character. You're in a wheelchair. And it's like, the fuck is wrong with you?
That's pretty much the ultimate fuck you as far as I'm concerned. That
Yeah.
yeah,
My sister loves the cosplay that she picked. Because for her, it's cool to put herself in a fantasy world where she doesn't have trouble walking.
yeah, yeah, and
Um,
I've heard that from other people with disabilities that that's a big part of the appeal is that if you're playing a character, you don't have to have that problem.
yeah. Um, and for pictures, she's lucky. She's not. Um, she doesn't have to stay in the wheelchair. We just use it for cons because she gets tired out easily. and also it's hard to get through crowds. Um, Especially this past weekend, it was hard. I was a dum dum and did not bring the wheelchair. Um, and I will never do that to her again because the crowds there were hard for us to get through. I had to have her hold on to my backpack and threaten to take her braces off and beat people with them if they didn't stop, making it impossible to get through the hallways, which is real fun. um, but uh, for her, it's basically she'll get up and she'll pose for the pictures, and the padding hides her like braces. She loves that. Um,
That
you
was
know,
actually one of
it's
my biggest complaints about this convention I was to last weekend was that the hotel obviously was designed by one of these architects who, had this beautiful aesthetic in mind of how this would be great with having everything on these half levels and these, short stairways and everything. And it's like they obviously went ahead and built the whole thing. And then somebody asked, well, what about handicap accessibility? So it's like it was kind of crammed in there in a half ass effort. And, it's like I had a problem with it just because I was pulling around, a couple of bins on a dolly because I had all my stuff with me. But for someone in a wheelchair, that place was a nightmare.
yeah, like the hotel setup is actually really good, and the convention itself is actually extremely handicap accessible. They've made it that way. We've not had a lot of problems. The problem was that at one point everybody decided to congregate in a way in the hallway that was not conducive to letting anybody through.
Yeah, well, at this
And that's
hotel,
a
the way it was set
crowd
up,
problem. That's not a hotel problem.
yeah,
And that's actually not the staff's fault. That's idiots who were just like, I'm just gonna stand around and not, because I'm waiting for something cool, and I don't even care if people can get through or not. Like,
yeah, that's just people being inconsiderate.
That's just life, actually.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, when people get into groups like that, kind of the herd mentality is not good.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, at this hotel, it was literally to get from the game room to the rooms where all the panels were being held, which was on the floor directly above. You had to go, for most people, it was just going up a couple flights of stairs. But if you couldn't do the stairs, you had to go, and they had this um, lift platform installed to go up the first half flight of stairs, which clearly was something that they didn't think about until everything else was built. And
Ah,
once you're on that half level, then you had to go pretty much the entire length of the building to the elevators to go up one floor to again go the entire length of the building back to where you started.
I would be
Crikey.
Yeah, so for
complaining.
anyone who had, a cane or a walker or a wheelchair, that was just an incredible level of bullshit.
Mm.
I swear, part of the thinking that goes in, or lack of thinking, that goes in when they adapt a previously built building to handicap accessible, is that they have this thought in their head that, well, the person's in a wheelchair, it doesn't matter, it's no effort for them to go a distance to another ramp. And it's like, wait a minute, have you ever pushed yourself in a wheelchair for an extended period?
Well, and this wasn't even that old of a
Yeah.
building. I mean, at most, this was built in the 80s.
Well,
So,
see,
the laws about,
88,
yeah,
the
the,
80,
the
it
laws about
wasn't in place.
disability access and the codes for that had been passed by then. This should have been thought up in the planning stage before the thing ever got built.
No, that stuff did not show up until the first Bush administration. I'm tr-
Actually, it varies. But
On a national level, the Americans with Disability Act
yeah,
was Bush administration, and that's when the federal regulations came through. That's when everybody nationwide was compelled to create their own laws.
well, maybe nationally, but this was in Minnesota. And in Minnesota in the 80s, I was doing a lot of work on building handicap ramps because the state codes had already pushed that stuff through. That these places, that any public buildings had to have handicap accessibility. So, and at any rate, even if they had to put in later, they did a shit job of it. They could have easily put another elevator in at the other end. It's clear that it was all,
What
they were more concerned with the aesthetic of the building rather than if it was actually functional for anyone.
Yeah,
So,
and the ADA, like, I'm grateful we have it, but I think it should be revamped because it is the bare minimum. And as we all know, most people will do the bare minimum and then pat themselves on the back for a good job. Although I do not trust this current administration to touch it. But at some point when we have another good, if we ever, I don't know if we will, if we ever have another decent administration, I'd like for them to look at it because the bare minimum is not enough.
yeah, well, and building codes are supposed to be reviewed and updated at least every 10 years, but that
There's
isn't a
still
part of it they normally pay much attention to.
there's still citizens who gripe about the fact that they want to put in handicap ramps on every sidewalk corner. The people are just so
Yeah,
ignorant and selfish.
As a caregiver, this is my answer.
Yeah,
yeah,
agreed.
Like, seriously, we need those wheelchair ramps
Yeah, no
because
kidding.
trying to get, like, I can't pull my sister up onto a sidewalk. Like, and she's not a big person and her wheelchair is really not that heavy, but pulling her up onto a sidewalk uh without a ramp is dangerous, for one,
yeah,
because you have to turn yourself around and pull up. I can't imagine what it would be like for somebody who has to actually push themselves using their wheelchair versus having somebody behind them who's doing all of the work.
yeah. Or somebody who's stuck in a power chair who you only have as much power as the motor has and there's nothing more you can do about it.
And those power chairs, they're heavy. Like, they're just now developing like chairs that aren't heavy, that are motorized,
Yeah,
but those are new and expensive and probably not going to be easily available.
And they grossly overcharge for all of that stuff. Being somebody
Mm-hmm.
who comes from a mechanical background and knows what it takes to build things like this, the fact that they charge $8,000-9,000 for a powered wheelchair is an absolutely criminal offense.
yeah,
There is not even 1/10 that amount of materials in a chair like that, and the labor involved is not radically different than building a standard wheelchair. These people are criminals.
yeah.
There
Well,
is nothing good about that business.
And insurance does not often cover wheelchairs, just letting y'all know. My sister, because she's ambulatory, would not qualify for a wheelchair. The only reason we have the one we do is one of our friends said you can have it as long as you don't give it away. If you try to give it away, I want it back.
Yeah, I'm ambulatory too, but my ambulation abilities stops at about 50 to 75 yards, and then I can't go any further.
Yeah, and my sister can walk that far, but then she gets tired out. And once she gets tired out, there's no recovery. Like, it takes her a long time to recover.
okay.
Robert, there are places you can rent wheelchairs, but they're usually amusement parks and malls. Wheelchair rentals are not available everywhere. Um, and also, a lot of people can't afford to rent said wheelchair.
Yep. I will put in a
Um,
plug. The Science Museum of Minnesota actually has 3 wheelchairs that are available free for anyone.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um, our con, I wish I had the organizational skills and the connections to do this, but I wish that I could actually spend one day working at a con and have somebody do the second day, or and then a different person do the third day, so that we can all enjoy the con essentially, but have like a wheelchair here. If take the wheelchair for the day, it's free. If you need it, just give us something to hold on to so we know that you'll come back and get the damn thing. uh
yeah,
or come back and and give us back the wheelchair instead of running off with it. But
I'm
I would
like
love to actually make that available at cons.
yeah.
I'm like 90% sure that Dragon Con does that. That Dragon Con has wheelchair
Dragon Con would
rentals.
have to. Dragon Con would have to, as big as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, and I
because
think you'll generally going to find that as being a function of the convention center if they have any available.
yeah, our the con that my sister and I go to every year, that one's actually really accessible. Um, the elevators are huge and they're centrally located. There's only one set of elevators, but they're centrally located. You can get to them pretty much anywhere, and the only thing in the hotel that you would use the elevators for is to get to the gaming room, and that's it. Which there's still a little bit of issue, but I mean, it's not nearly as bad. And we do not have issues getting up to the gaming room.
Yeah,
And the gaming room is always set up to where you can get a wheelchair through the entire room easily and safely.
yeah.
So, um,
Angie is asking me about pictures, and unfortunately, um, I wound up smashing my good camera at the
Ouch.
convention.
ooh,
Yeah, which really sucks and is something I can't afford to replace. So I got a couple of pictures on my cell phone, but I haven't got those ported into my computer yet. So
yeah, I forgot to take a. I did what I always do. I asked my best friend to take one picture of me, and then I took a selfie, and then that was it.
yeah, that's
I
pretty much what I got. If I've got a couple of me, and I had meant to get a lot more, but I get caught up in the other stuff I'm doing, and I don't think about taking the pictures.
Yeah, that was. Ooh, am I coming through?
Yeah, you're
Yep.
fine,
Yeah,
Kitty.
I didn't see the thingy moving and I couldn't tell. That was the problem that I had the last time I went to Dragon Con. I think I took like 3 pictures. Now I have a really fancy camera. I have a Nikon D3200. It's a $600 camera that I paid $50 for brand new.
Hmm.
Um, and I took it with me, but I got so wrapped up in just being there and seeing things and doing things that by the time I pulled it out to take a picture, it was like the moment had passed. Like I have a picture of someone who cosplayed as Maui the year that I went, and then somebody had an R2D2 drone, and so I took a picture of that. But other than that, I was too busy just being dumbstruck and anxious because I was in a hotel full of like a bajillion people, and I don't do
Yeah.
social things very well.
I also have to say that I was going to be kind of cautious about taking pictures for this one because it was put on by a LGBTQ plus group. So, I wasn't sure if
Oh,
everybody there would be comfortable with being out, and I would have had to, blur out faces of anyone in the background.
right. That's true. I might be trying to do something soon with the pagan community in Georgia. I don't know. I haven't really talked to them, but they have these events that they do, basically like a holiday. Or they call it a bloat. It's a get
Yep.
together, and I was like, I asked if I could go, and it was kind of like maybe because I may be atheist, but I find that kind of stuff interesting, and it would be a cool experience to see what one's like. And I asked if I could do a video about it, and they were like, I'm like, oh yeah, some of you guys might not be out to your parents and family, and that would be bad. And he was like, exactly.
Yeah, I
Perp,
used to
can
do
I share a
Pagan
picture
Pride
with
every
you?
year.
Perp, can I
Sorry.
share a picture with you to put on for
Sure.
folks to see? What should I do? Send it to you and
Um,
over
no,
Twitter
if
DM?
if you look at on the bottom of the screen, you should have a toolbar
She's
that
on a phone.
says share screen. Oh,
I'm on mobile. I can't
okay.
share.
All right. I guess if you send it to me in Twitter, I'll have to save it to my computer then to put it up there.
Okay, I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to do Pagan Pride every year. Like I said, I was pagan for about 25 years. Um, and one of the things they did with organizing that was that at the registration, they had some little yellow ribbons that people could pin on, which meant it was okay to take pictures of them. And anyone you got that didn't have a yellow ribbon, you had to take them out of the picture. And that was just nice that everybody was, identified in advance so you could see who was okay with it. Okay, and I'm just getting Jen's picture here.
No, 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 don't do
No,
that.
not that one.
Well, yeah, but this other one too.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've got to save
These,
each one individually.
okay, these are the two costumes I'd like to cosplay sometime.
Ah, where'd it
You
go?
can do the first one. Go ahead, and then the second one, and I'll provide narration.
Did I miss something?
Okay, now I'm not sure
No,
here now if it's
they're trying to organize the text.
Oh, gotcha.
uh the way Twitter did it. I'm not sure whether or not they may have wound up getting saved together as one picture or not. We'll see in a minute here.
No, they're the two independent documents.
Well, they were, but as I said, I'm not sure how Twitter handled that
Yeah,
because it's like I was
try if
starting
you
to download the one and
Tria.
then you sent the second one, and
Yeah.
it looks like they may have merged them together.
Have you and your sister ever considered a cosplay, not a
Okay.
different cosplay, but like an alternate cosplay that like utilizes her wheelchair as part of the cosplay?
We have, and the thing is that I told her that if she wanted another cosplay, because I put a lot of work into that first one for her.
Hmm.
I told her that if she wanted more cosplays, that she was gonna have to put in at least 20% of the work.
Oh,
Um, so and because I was like, I have my own cosplays. I also because what I did for her was like 50 hours worth of work. And
right.
I have more work to do on it. So any request that she makes of me about that particular cosplay, I don't care whether she's involved or not. I told her I was doing that one from the ground up. Anything that she wanted from it, I would do, no questions asked. And then I said, but anything after that, you're going to have to learn and help me. I want her to learn how to use a sewing machine. I
Hmm.
think it's a good skill to have. I think it would be helpful for her. I think she can do it.
Right.
I think she's capable of it.
Oh, okay.
So, so I told her that for the next cosplay, that she wants, she's going to have to do some of the work. And she can do the sewing or the painting or what have you. Doesn't matter to me. I would prefer she learn the sewing machine, but if she doesn't want to, I'm not going to force her. But it was basically a your, basically a any request after this, and you're gonna have to help me some, because
Right.
cosplays take a long time.
Right.
Okay, that
We go ahead.
no,
Let
finish
Jen
up.
narrate the pictures now.
Okay.
Oh.
The last thing I was gonna say was we are going to actually incorporate her her wheelchair somewhat with her Quidditch cosplay. We actually want to take a cover and put it over her wheelchair and make it look like banners that would be flying out on the Quidditch field.
It turns into the entire Quidditch field. No, just kidding.
That would
would
mean
be
she
too
would
much.
not be able to get out of the wheelchair.
Yeah, that's make it look like the stands. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, Jen, who's the character here?
I don't know her name, but that's one of the cosplays I'd like to do is a blue-eyed, purple-haired anime girl. But that I'll never do because I don't have the body type for it. But the next one is more likely.
Well, we were saying that as far as body type, I think that's ridiculous. You should be able to do whatever
You
you
can
want
make
with that.
alterations to make it look more
I'd like
flattering.
I'd like to do the one on the right, an alcoholic R2D2.
Yeah, I've seen this.
No, I understand within reason the whole body type thing, but like, I'm sorry, I don't think
Well,
that
nobody
that
has a
a
body like an anime
600
girl.
pound.
I mean, that's
Oh, okay, that is fair. That is completely fair. But like, I'm trying to think of a character.
I have plans
well,
to
for
fake
one
my
thing,
boobs. I have plans to fake my boobs when I start doing any other cosplays. I
oh
have no boobs.
yeah, if I cosplay that character I showed earlier, I would definitely have to fake some boobs for her, because she's like a G cup or something. But no, like I do not think that like a 300, like, so I know people do gender bending costumes and that's fine, but like a 300-pound man cosplaying as, say, Laura Croft is just like, no, please don't.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I know if I have a few friends who might be able to pull it off, though.
Yeah, I think if
It
someone
depends
wants
on
to do it, let them do it.
it
Yeah.
depends on what alterations you make. Because you don't have to make it look exact. You can make it look similar enough to where people get the idea.
And
Well,
if
right, but
Kind
what
of what I do with a lot of mine.
if anybody's going to bitch about it, just tell them that it's an alternate universe version.
what the heck did I just do? Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, like the gender bending isn't the problem. It's just somebody who's trying to be super exact with like the booty shorts and I don't. I would never try and cosplay a character that was too scantily clad is, I guess, the word that I'm
Yeah.
looking for. I'm heavy, so if you've got a character who's wearing a decent amount of clothes where I don't feel like I'm oozing out of gaps, to put it lightly,
Mhm.
I could see doing that, trying that, but
Yeah,
I don't.
if you're going to do a character that does not fit your body type, do the changes. Like as long as people can quasi recognize what you're doing, that's the point. Now you also have to realize that I am also lazy when it comes to conventions sometimes. And I will literally put on like my 50s pinup gear and then add a Harry Potter wand and then maybe something else Harry Potter related, like a brooch or something, and then be like, "Hi, I'm a witch." I get so much heat for that, but I'm like, so what? I have my
Right.
wand. You can't tell me that I'm not a
Well,
1950s Harry Potter witch.
yeah, and again, that's, people shouldn't be judging on that kind of stuff. It's just everybody's there to have fun. Some
Hmm.
people don't have the time or the resources to do an elaborate costume.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you should judge somebody because their costume isn't up to your level if you're a a quote unquote good cosplayer, you know?
Yeah. Oh, people are judgy here. Like, I don't hear it as much because they don't want to say anything in front of Hufflepuff because
Hmm.
Hmm.
they actually a lot of people are just like, if anything gets back to Hufflepuff, she'll tell the main one. So I don't hear it as much, but
Yeah.
I am aware of all the backstabbing that goes on at a lot of these cons and a lot of the um what's like a lot of the rankings, I guess you could call them, that
Yeah.
go along. Like
Well,
I
and
hear
unfortunately,
about
you
them,
wind up,
but
yeah,
like we don't get involved in that shit.
you wind up having that shit going on in every community, and it's bullshit regardless. The people who think that they have to be the gatekeepers or set some kind of standards for what other people can do, and you know,
Yeah, I've not heard any of the shit directed at me or Hufflepuff, but I know it's there.
yeah, and
and that's
it's
sad.
just
You know,
sad that people feel there's some reason they should do that. I just,
well, what makes me mad about the whole thing is that in this, I should preface, I've never been to a cosplay situation or a convention that does that sort of thing. But it seems to me that this is a group of people who is alternative in their thinking and fun choices of how to have fun compared to the typical population. And it bothers me a great deal that this community that is based on alternative attitudes would have discriminatory, judgmental type bullcrap going on about somebody who's within that community. That you know what I'm saying? That that you're all in the same
Yeah.
playground. Why are you picking on each other?
Yeah, it's like um seeing somebody be like, haha, you're a nerd for doing this. And it's like, you're dressed up too and you're at the same con as me. Like,
Well, I think the thing is though is that there is a subset of people who do not do cosplay for the fun, so to speak. I mean,
they
they
do
maybe
it
of
for
course
the
they do.
popularity
Yeah,
because
they
if you're good
Mhm.
enough and you're pretty enough, you will have hordes of people who practically worship you.
Mhm. Some people have
Uh,
turned cosplay into a job, basically.
mhm. And I don't have a problem with turning cosplay into a job necessarily because if you're putting like thousands of dollars and thousands of hours into it and you can make money off of it, I have no problem with that.
Just don't be a dick about it.
Just don't be a
yeah,
dick about it. And also, we really should find a balance between I admire you because you're extremely talented and
I
I'm going
worship the
to
ground you
worship
work.
you because you're so pretty. And that is a huge problem in the cosplay community.
Well, that's
Most
it.
of the people that I'm talking about that do all the backstabbing and stuff, they take their cosplays off and they're the pretty girls. They're pretty whether or not they're in cosplay or out. And they
yeah,
look
Yeah,
perfect.
I didn't want to make that jump to judgment, but that's exactly what I was thinking when you were describing the attitude. I was like, this is
I
probably the pretty girls that that
yeah,
I didn't want to jump to judgment, but
there I
you see that with everything like streamer chicks. stuff like that.
And not all of the pretty girls are like that. But I have yet to meet one of the backstabbers that wasn't in the pretty group. Now, there are different ways of being an absolute dick at a con that don't involve backstabbing. And those can range from anybody, but it seems like the most backstabby ones seem to be in the pretty and the popular group. It's almost like they never it's almost like they never got out of high school, even though most of the people I'm talking about are in their 30s.
Well,
That's
yeah,
sad.
and when you say that about people who pretty much do it for a living, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is that yeah, I've seen some of these Instagram models. That seems to be all they do.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And that's okay if they get paid for it. If they're able to make a living doing that, okay, great, go for it.
Right.
I wish I could make at least enough money to replace the supplies I bought. Like, I don't need to make a profit. I just like to break even.
Yeah, the thing is like I've got no problem with you if you want to be an Instagram model, if you want to be a uh if you this is going to sound wrong, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you want to use your looks to make money, you do you. Good for you. Don't be a dick about it. That's the thing. I don't care what you do to make your money. Just if you're going to be a dick about it, that's when I have a problem with you as an individual.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at that.
Yeah.
I just looked over at
Well,
chat. Doorknob head is like, pretty girl, I decided.
Well, no, but the funny thing
With
too
the
is
arrow
like
pointing to
if
himself.
yeah, and if his
Yes.
avatar is him, then it's like pretty girl.
Careful, doorknob head. We
chat.
might come kidnap you and dress you up.
We could, if that beard is real, we could braid it and put flowers in it.
Oh, dude, have y'all seen like the Christmas lights for the beards? Like,
Yep, somebody
I have
somebody
people in
should.
mind I'm buying for that.
Oh, he says
Have
dress
you
up.
seen those? Have you seen those little tiny, super tiny LEDs that you can put on your eyelashes now?
No,
God, they're beautiful.
No.
keep them. I have this
Oh, my
strong
eyes
aversion to
hurt.
anything to do with my eyes. That's why I
My
can't
eyes
do
hurt.
makeup. Like I can do lipstick, I can do lipstick and blush and foundation and all that, but I can't do anything fancy with the eyes because you start putting something near my eyes and they just water. Just like this is going near my eyes, they're gonna water. It's depressing sometimes,
I can
especially
touch my
considering some.
eyeballs, so that's not a problem for me.
And I just fell out of my chair because you said that. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Any,
the thing was,
anything that messes with my vision, even if it's just like on my forehead, like gives me a little bit of a headache after a while. I think it's because my eyes already have enough trouble like adjusting to each other without throwing anything else off. I have very severe astigmatism, and my eyes do not communicate properly with one another. So throwing something else into the mix, it's like, what do we do now? What do
and
we?
that's
Oh, I know. We strain and give her a headache. Yay.
yeah, that's it too. It's like you have to take your glasses off to do your eye makeup, and without my glasses, I can't see shit. Well, I can see, but like detail is lost.
I can take my glasses off, but I'm struggling. Part of the reason why I struggle doing eyeliner still is like I basically have to put myself like this far away from the mirror to see what I'm doing around my eyes, and it doesn't really work. I take my glasses off for like my blush and like highlighter and any contouring or anything, but those are bigger details, so I can stand farther away from the mirror. Still trying to figure out how to do eyeliner.
sorry, Doc. I don't know how long you were hanging there. I was
That's all
trying
right.
to see if I could get the pictures off my camera.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
have to.
learning that StreamYard seems to have like 6 freaking exit buttons. I'm like trying to get rid of this, get rid of that. What's this popping up here? Get
Oh,
rid of it. Nope, pop me out.
that reminds me.
Perp,
If
perp,
you have
perp, perp.
AVG, if
Ho-
as your
a
as
moment,
your
please.
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Perp. I gotta step out, and I'm gonna come back in. The audio is breaking up like horror.
Okay.
Oh no. See you in a bit, Jen.
Yeah.
Somebody new came in. That happens to her every time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Um.
that triggers it.
What
So,
was I saying?
yeah,
Oh,
I didn't get too many
AVG does
pictures
not
at the
like
convention,
StreamYard.
but here you go.
It considers it phishing.
Well, I've
Really?
got
Just
a
letting anybody know who has AVG.
I don't know what that is, but I got a Samsung Galaxy S6.
Oh,
AVG is a
AVG is a
virus
program.
protection. It's a virus protection program. It does not like
Oh,
StreamYard.
oh,
It
I don't know
decided
if
that
that's what I got.
my StreamYard was a virus in the middle of my stream the other night, and I could not
Oh man.
exit my stream.
Oof.
I could exit my
What the
stream but not
hell?
stop it.
Oh.
So
Ouch.
like I refreshed because I was like, okay, maybe if I refresh it'll like fix itself or whatever. It kicked me out and left Luciano and Alhana and Silver Lena in my stream without me. And they were just sitting there like, what do we do? Like,
We own the
is she coming back
stream.
in?
Yeah, I was sitting in there talking to them after they left. I was kind of wondering how long it was going to take that to shut down.
I was too. And then fortunately Maddie was like, hey, you can kill it from YouTube's end. I was like, great, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm so pro, y'all. Totally professional.
Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
still trying to figure a lot of stuff out. And my learning curve is pretty slow. I've been in this over a year now. I should have figured more of the stuff out with the editing by now.
Yeah, I wish for tonight's show I had everything set up to where I knew how to show like screenshots and like show my actual computer screen and stuff like that because some of it would help with visuals,
Do you have a
but
dual monitor?
no.
See, it's really tough to do the screen share stuff with it without a dual monitor. What do you use? Do you use StreamYards?
Yeah, I am not I was going to use OBS for tonight's or
Oh,
yeah, cuz
yeah, that would.
I don't have anybody else on.
Mhm.
And StreamYard and my virus program are not
Being
liking
friendly
each
right
other
now.
right now. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll deal with making sure it's all set up for Thursday night stream because I
Mhm.
have people actually on.
Right.
This one, it's like I'm doing by myself. I'm probably gonna regret that because Lena said she might show up, and it would be interesting to have Lena in because she's
Hmm.
had similar experiences to me. But um, in regards to tonight's subject, but I was just like, I really need to sit down and like learn to do more tech. I need to sit down and start working on thumbnails more often.
Maybe,
There's a lot of stuff I need to be doing.
maybe what you could do, you could still use StreamYard. What you would have to do is you'd have to take OBS and you'd have to set it up so that you have two windows drawn from the same thing. But I mean, I could try and help you with the OBS thing, like for your visuals, because it's not that hard. Once you get
Yeah.
OBS set up to do your main screen, you can add more elements to it. And so then you just
Yeah.
add your images in there and you set them up so that all you have to do is click the arrow. So like when you want to show your image one, you just name image one and you move it up in the priority list and it'll appear on screen over everything else.
Well,
Yeah.
StreamYards
Like,
isn't that bad for sharing images. Yeah, it's pretty easy, and I've only got a single monitor.
yeah, but I'm not dealing with StreamYards tonight.
Yeah, but you have to be well, you know what? I've never tried to share images on the same monitor. because I do have a dual monitor setup, so I just automatically go to the other one. But whenever it says share screen, and it shows the screen, the main screen. What?
But
Okay, this is interesting. I did not notice this part. So there's an application window, and there's a Chrome tab. So when you go share screen, you can show your entire screen, or you can go application window, and you can show a particular part of what you've got running on your computer, or you can show
Oh,
a s-
okay.
a tab all by itself. I didn't know that. That's
Oh,
interesting.
yeah,
okay.
that's the way I
I will
always do it
play
with the
with that a little
StreamYards.
bit.
Is the StreamYards has the application window. That's the way I've always run it. Because
I
that
was
way I
wondering
know
how
that
you were
that way
doing
I know
that.
that I'm only showing the one image that's in that application window, and people aren't
Mhm.
seeing anything else.
Yeah, so what you would want to do is set up a folder with all of your visual images that you want to use. In that folder, open one, and then you share the you go share application, or yeah, share application, and then you could do your image browser. Let me move
Yeah.
you here, and then you can just cycle through the stuff. I wish I'd known that. That would have been easier when I was trying to do the whole thing with uh, stuff. When I was trying to do the stuff with things.
Yeah. I'll play around with it and see if I can get it running before tonight. But tonight I'm basically like I actually considered like postponing my show. And then I was like, no, if I postpone it to later in the week, I'm gonna be even more dead than I already am. And like I've already put like all the hours and prep into it. I was like, we're gonna go no matter what I have set up or whatever I don't have set up. Because it was like I crammed 9 hours of research in yesterday. I'm not doing that for nothing.
Pirate Kitty, that's a lovely picture you sent me.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought that one looked pretty good.
She's cute.
Somebody I want to I have a list and I need to find it. There was like a huge list of people. I want to cosplay Crowley from Good Omens. And like I don't even and normally I would want to gender bend. The way he looks, I think I could do it without even trying to gender bend the character. Like because there was kind of a
Crowley
almost
was
feminine
the
look
bad
to
one,
it.
right? The quote
Yeah,
unquote
Crowley was
bad
the
one.
bad one.
I haven't
The
seen Good
bad one who
Omens.
wasn't really all that bad.
Right.
But there was one scene where they did a close up of Tennant's face,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing was that the character is male. There's no question about that. But at different angles, it looked almost like his face was a little bit more feminine. And I was just like, shit, I could pull this off easily without gender bending the character at all. Because I am not the I don't like playing male characters most of the time. Because I don't like doing I'm not very good at contouring, and that doesn't really interest me so much. Um so I prefer characters that I can do the I can either do basic makeup and get away with it kind of deal. But I was just like, the way they set that up and the way it looks is you could easily do that particular character, portray yourself as male, but not have to do any major changes to yourself or to, whether you're male or female. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know how to describe it.
that's
It
my
wasn't quite
problem. Is
androgynous. It wasn't quite androgynous,
yeah,
but it was kind of close.
my problem is I could do the costume, but I don't know how to do makeup.
I believe the only thing that particular, like, if you were going as a cosplay, I would say that you wouldn't necessarily have to do makeup because it looked natural, with the exception of I think he wore some eyeliner. I think.
Perp, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about stage makeup, movie makeup, special effects makeup. I'm sure that you could find something appropriate for what you want to achieve. It's not
Yeah.
really very hard. You can practice like right on your forearm. You can like if you're making prosthetics and stuff, you can make a nose on your forearm and get the skills down, and then adapt it to doing it on your own nose or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah, it's
some
that's
things
essentially
that's how I
YouTube
practice.
learned.
videos work for me. A lot of things I need somebody to teach me because it's like things that seem to flow naturally and make sense to everyone else. There's going to be something in there I don't catch, and if I don't have someone who can answer a question, I'll easily get stuck at one point and the rest of it won't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I am a baby when it comes to makeup. I'm having to figure out a lot because what my problem is that I can't see without my glasses for certain things. Like I said, I could do like the overall details on my face and be fine, but anything dealing with my eyes, I can't see, and also I can't tell. Like, I look at these people who wear like the bright, extremely bright, like eyeshadows and stuff with like patterns and things, and like they look good doing it, but I have trouble, especially because I'm very, very fair skinned. I have trouble finding the balance between you can't see that shit and have I overdone it and made myself look like a clown.
Sounds like you need companionship when preparing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I often don't because I usually start preparing a lot earlier than most other people do because makeup is a struggle for me, and I often do because of my eyesight have to take a little bit longer with it.
Mhm.
So, what would take maybe like somebody half an hour to do like a normal day's makeup takes
Mhm.
me like two.
I used to be much better at my own personal makeup, but since two things have happened since I got my cataracts removed and they put in lenses, they've destroyed my close-up vision.
Mm.
I wear glasses for farsightedness, and or I should say nearsightedness. And if I took my glasses off, I could see absolutely 20/20 all the way down to like 6 inches, very precisely. And after the cataracts, now I can't see anything between my nose and like about 8 inches. It's all blurry. Well, that's the range you gotta operate in if you're doing your eye makeup. The other thing that's probably happened is that as I've gotten older, I've lost the steadiness of my hand, um, and I can't draw a decent line with eyeliner anymore. I used to wear false eyelashes frequently, and I can't apply them correctly anymore. I shake too much.
Yeah, well, I have to take my glasses off to do close up work, but I would have more of the problem that I just have the random muscle twitches. So that's, you know, trying to do any detail work, it's very difficult with that because it's like I'll be right in the middle of it and my arm will jerk.
Yeah, and I need to cut my hair short because I can't really work with my hair very well because it's thin, and also I cannot put hairspray on. I cannot do hairspray. So I need to actually invest in a couple of wigs so that I can do some hairspray. I'd have to put a respirator on, but at least it would be going on the wig and not on my poor scalp that can't handle any product at all.
Yeah, I also
Basically,
have
as far
extremely
as
thin hair and I I would probably wind up needing like some kind of hair extensions or something just to make it look like it's got some volume to it.
yeah, well, I also have open sores on my scalp due to something that I suspect is psoriasis. Um, Hairspray in my scalp do not get along whatsoever.
Hmm.
I cannot put product in my hair.
Ouch.
Cannot. So, and also the smell of the spray. Now, once it dies down a little bit, it doesn't affect me as bad. But when it originally comes out of the can, it gives me a migraine. So I can get around that by using a respirator. But as far as like actually putting it on my head, I can't. And a lot of what I do requires that I do need to do some hairspray. My hair does not keep curls. If I curl my hair, it will be done. It will be undone within like half an hour, unless I put like 2 to 3 cans of hairspray in my hair, and then it lasts about 2 or 3 hours, and then falls.
I don't do anything involving curls.
Okay, Orla, thanks for mentioning that. I'll have to look that group up.
Oh, I should send Amber to or Hufflepuff to that because
Yeah. Well,
she.
mine is a kind of double hit that it's both autism and Tourette's syndrome.
Oof. Um,
So both of them cause some problems with the muscle control.
Hufflepuff is talking about wanting to ask her doctor if she might be autistic. She's really like. I just showed her the one video, like I had told you I was going to do, perp. I showed her the one autistic spectrum chat, and she just like dove in and did like a whole shitload of research and has like a list she's going to take to her doctor. Um, because she wants to figure out how to get around some of the issues that she has, because it's basically causing her at certain points to not be able to live her life in a way that she
Yeah.
wants. So,
Okay. I'm finding a lot of groups with similar names, but not finding anything that seems to have to do with anything with doing makeup.
that's lame. Of course, Facebook has been being really awful about helping you about their groups. Um, we're finding out that a lot of the ace groups are being kind of shadow banned. Oh, which is really stupid and lame.
Weird. That makes no sense either.
It's because it has sex in the name.
Oh,
A lot of, like we used to call Ace Awareness Week Asexual Awareness Week, and because of all of the stupid, oh my god, it has the word sex in it, and you're talking about sexual orientation. Um, we've had to change a lot of our wording and stuff to get around shadow bans.
mm-hmm.
It's stupid.
I'm gonna dovetail off this. My generation, the hippie generation, us boomers, which we are now being called as a slur. Um, our hippie generation changed American society. Prior to us, American society was absolutely sterile. No sex, no touching, no kissing. Things like this were absolutely frowned upon. If a husband and wife kissed in public, people were like, "Oh my God." Okay, things were very different in the 50s and early 60s, and then we came along and brought this, how the media likes to term it, of free love generation. But what came out of us was an entire generation of people who knew how to hug, who knew how to express each other physically. Joe Biden is part of that. Is part of that culture, and Joe Biden hugs. And look at the shit he gets for it now. Joe Biden isn't doing anything sexual. He's doing something human. He's touching Humans are made to touch. Humans starve emotionally and physically if they are not touched. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be romantic.
the issue with Biden is that he doesn't
I don't want to
act.
get into. I don't want to get into Biden. I don't want to get into Biden. No, stop. This is not
No,
about Biden.
I
No, no.
stopped. I was
Okay, okay. And nowadays, everybody is so absolutely freaked out by touching in the list an accidental brush of somebody, and they start screaming assault, and it is absolutely insane.
Well,
And it's
part of
disgusting.
that is when assault actually does happen and rape actually does happen, you
We're
get
not talking
dismissed.
about assault and rape. We're talking about touch. People
But
don't hug me. Oh no, hugging. Oh God, no. That's terrible.
Okay, but Jen, there
it's
Oh,
is
you're
called
something to
interfering.
be
You're
consent.
said
invading my
about.
space. Oh. Will you people grow up? It's touching. It's human. It's what we are. Look at
Jen, it's
every
not
primate on the
universal.
planet. It is universal. We
It is
have beaten
not
it out of ourselves.
universal. I mean,
no, that's
you
not
are not
universal.
having any consideration to begin with for a lot of people with autism. Any kind of touch can send them into a panic attack.
Yes, but you don't rule a society based on, and I don't mean this as a negative, but I'm going to say it because I don't have another word for it. Lowest common denominator, as in like you don't say that two completely regular people can't touch because there are people who can't deal with being touched.
Well, it's
You
not a
have to
matter
you
of they
have no
can't
you have
touch.
to find
It's a
you have to
question of
find a way
consent. You
you
should
have to
find
find
out
a
if the
way.
person is okay with it.
Okay, forget it. I'm sorry I brought it up. Let's move on.
Uh, you lost Tria there.
I broke a pumpkin.
Anyway, so outside the cosplay, does anyone have any interesting thoughts on conventions?
Yeah, conventions are lots of fun. I've been to many different conventions that had nothing to do with cosplay, and they were just a blast. Most of my conventions I've ever been to, there's of course the educational component, but people are there to have a good time, and I think they're wonderful.
Yeah, mostly what I've done have been the gaming conventions and the pagan pride. So there are a lot of conventions that are good for just being community building things, of being a place for people to, get together in fringe communities.
Virtually every convention I've been to has turned up to be on the side, in the back, a fuck fest. Except the one convention that you would think might be that, and that was a convention of sex therapists and people working in human sexuality. And there was nothing that went on ever. It was kind of what? Very ironic.
Yeah, I've been to a couple that, nothing publicly happened, but definitely about people going off into private side rooms. There was one I used to do many years ago. It was called the Because Convention, which was all for bisexuals.
I think they ruined an opportunity then. If it was called because BECAUSE,
Yeah,
they should have called it because.
well, it was an acronym. I forget what it all stood for.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Actually, I think it might still be running. I haven't, that's when I was living in Minnesota. So then, since I've been away from Minnesota for 10 years, I hadn't had a chance for it. I don't know if it's still going on or not.
What was the nature of the group again?
Um, it was set up for bisexuals And it was something that was running through the 90s when there was still a lot of flack about bisexuals being in the gay community.
Oh yeah, that the whole row I never understood either.
Yeah, so basically it was a group of bisexuals, set up and said, okay, we're going to do our own thing. And, they had all sorts of interesting workshops on whatever. There was certainly a lot of bleed over with the kink community there, since it seemed that in the kink community there's a much higher amount of people who at least would be willing to play with people of the same gender, even if it wasn't necessarily sexual.
It's not a lot different today. There is so much dissension within the community. I don't know. I don't want. I'm trying not to use the words that everybody uses to define stuff nowadays. Um, I'm gonna make my own definition here. Two communities: the quote unquote normal, straight heterosexual missionary position, boring people, and everybody else. um, it seems like in the everybody else community, there's a lot of dissension about who is who is valid and who is not, and it's like, what? Aren't we all valid?
Well, that's the problem. Every community winds up pushing some group off on the fringe, and I don't understand why everyone always feels the need to do that, but I always see it happening. I Yeah, it's just a facet of the tribalism that somehow everyone still has to make there be an us and them.
How do we grow beyond that?
Well, it would be nice if we stopped having to worry about what labels people had to carry and just treat everyone the same, but I don't know how we're going to get that to be a general popular attitude.
I have to apologize. I apparently created quite a buzzkill here. Um, and I just want to apologize for that. My feelings about touch are very very different than apparently everyone else's.
Yeah, it got a
Um,
little heated there, but these things happen. It's not a big deal.
um, you move into a crowded elevator and you brush up against somebody as you turn to face the doors, and you get a dirty look for it. It's kind of sick to me. There's nothing intentional. There's
Yeah.
nothing dirty. There's nothing bad, but it's still judged, and somebody gets scorned. It's ridiculous.
I think I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I can
Um,
understand where you're coming from, but I think you need to realize the people on the other side. And unfortunately, what's happened too often, is that there are scuzzy people who will take the opportunity, like you say, a crowded elevator or something, and being more than just a casual brushing against something, will use it as an opportunity to grope someone.
Well, yeah, certainly if that's what happens, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And
well,
that
and
and
yeah,
and
there,
right.
to and to
there
make
has been a degree that people have overreacted to that.
and that's what I'm saying is that the overreaction is toxic.
Is some people can't help but have a visceral reaction to something that is difficult for them to deal with. I mean, you got a dirt you brush up against somebody and you get a dirty look. Oh well, it didn't hurt you. Just like accidentally touching somebody didn't hurt you. Getting a dirty look didn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt you either. Not you as in yeah, as in like people in general.
I have this family that I don't understand at all. Um, I have these two brothers that, and my nephew is this way as well, who literally cringe if somebody hugs them, and it's like, where does that come from? We never had touch issues in my family. I mean, I did not have a touching family, but there wasn't any gropers in my family. There wasn't anything horrible negative about touching in my family. But
That you know of.
these three males, that I'm absolutely sure there was no issues in my family.
Okay.
We just didn't have that kind of life.
Well, and it depends where it comes from. I don't have any problem with hugging my friends. I do, have that cringe. I do pull back with family members trying to hug me. And I can't really explain to you quite why, but it does not feel comfortable. And that's, I mean, my sisters or even my mother. And it's not that there was, any sexual abuse or anything involved there. It's just, to me, it feels there's something fake there that just feels uncomfortable.
If I may, I think relatives relation is genetic, but family is a sentiment,
Yeah.
and it's an altogether different thing. And when you feel a sense of family with somebody, you feel more comfortable with contact, and contact is quite intimate, even casually, even the accidental brush along,
Yeah.
and it's maybe too intimate for a lot of people to handle,
Well, and when I'm
and
thinking
it is
about it,
sad.
I think part of the thing with the family thing is it's an obligatory thing. I
Yeah,
don't have the choice to say no. I have to do it.
yeah, but you should have the choice.
Yeah, but at a family gathering, I can't say no without it causing a scene.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It'll be what's wrong, what's going on,
Yeah.
and then
So
and then
I don't
take
know, Jen,
offense
if maybe
because
that
yeah.
gives you a perspective on, you know,
Are any of you aware of the research that was done at the University of Wisconsin, Madison, back in the 50s regarding touch and infancy in humans and primates?
Yes, I'm actually very aware with that. I've heard of that before.
That they found that when they deprived um, primates of touch in their infancy, that they grew up to be horribly neurotic, sick creatures, and that they found corollary in human development as well.
yeah, yeah, and I've seen other things that seems to pretty much be true across all mammals.
They've also found in humans that humans who go untouched in their later life die younger. Touch is an essential part of human existence. It is a question of whether or not you're going to live and be normal. Now, I know that there are
I
people
highly
who
no, never mind.
I know there are people who cringe at touch, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be that way. But I'm saying that we need to find a way for those folks to feel comfortable indicating they feel that way, And for people like me who are touchers to learn a way to sense those people are that way and to give them their space, but not to change the whole society into a non touching, non feeling group of automatons.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
I
saying.
mean, you don't have to sense it out. If you want to hug somebody, you just say, "Can I give you a hug?" And then if they're okay with it, they're like, "Yeah, sure, we can hug." And if they're not, it's like, "Nah, I'm okay. I don't like that." And then
And I do that, and I'm fine with that. If somebody says no, I don't want. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I know what you're about.
Well,
It's
yeah.
all right.
You
Not
know,
a problem.
again, it's the consent thing. It's, if you give the person the choice, it's fine.
I guess I just really miss the days where the consent wasn't necessary because the touching was the norm. It was the standard. It's just the way it was. And I don't understand how it came to be this way.
Well, I can't say that I've, spent a lot of time thinking about it or seen any studies on it, but, you know, it tends to be a pendulum effect that, if things go too far one direction, we'll often see them go the opposite direction for the next generation. So if a group of people have been brought up now, feeling that they didn't have any choice in the matter, what was the social norm 20 years ago, may be on the exact opposite end of the spectrum now.
Well, I hope that's what's going on. I hope people change. I
I
won't be around
actually
for it, but
I actually was thinking about something like this recently because I read a web comic called Love Not Found by an artist named Gina Briggs, and it's the story um, where basically we've kept on with this aversion to being touched after a certain point in our life, to the point where holding hands, hugging, kissing are considered indecent, and that childbirth is done in a particular way that involves in vitro fertilization, and sex is done with machines where you're in the same room but you're not touching each other. Um, and it's following the life of these group of characters who are kind of quote unquote regressing, and finding that part of what they're missing in their lives is intimacy with the people that they love. Um, and I was actually thinking about that earlier this week about it. It was like, well, I can see why the society in this comic developed that way based off of what's going on with our society, where you know maybe it overshot, went from requiring consent to just being assumed to not be okay. Period.
I remember a similar science fiction story like that.
Mm.
That was the same kind of thing you described. That just the society had gotten to the point that physical contact was just considered to be something dirty. And that there were a few people who were the weirdos in the society who actually kind of like some people now, like when they hit puberty they realize they're gay, that some of these people were realizing that they were actually sexual and actually needed the human contact, but it was so taboo in the society that they had to basically like make secret clubs for this.
that's dystopian. That's for sure. I hope we don't ever reach that extreme.
Yeah, well, I certainly wouldn't want to go that far. I just, I am on the autistic spectrum and I'm at a pretty high functioning level, but I know other people on the spectrum that having a stranger touch them can really freak them out. So it's like I can see it from both ends.
And I recognize my own bias as well, which I'll share. That I came from this touching background of hippiedom and all that kind of stuff. Um, but since I've transitioned, I don't get touched at all,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and people don't know how much that hurts.
I can feel for you there, when you've talked about how long it's been since you've had a date or that, you know, um, I don't get much of that anymore, but, at least, soft girl, I'm at least comfortable with hugging. It's not going to be anything sexual or anything there, but, at least it is some physical contact. And I can imagine if you're, feeling completely devoid of that could, you know, really feel very dark.
Yeah.
I was just reading what Orla was saying in the private chat, in the side chat about it, and Robert X was saying some people feel invaded by that brush, even if it can't be avoided. And Orla was saying, I remember my head of year tried to hug me in school and it freaked me out. And I backed off, like, excuse the term, an abuse victim. And she was looking at me like, what the fuck? And said, why did I do that? And came in a second time, and I had to sit there and take the hug when I didn't want it, and made her very uncomfortable.
Oh, and I can
Yeah,
I
that
can
I think
empathize with that.
mhm. I think it stems from this whole, you know, especially with children, which is something that I definitely rally against, is this whole, oh, it's your grandpa, go give him a hug. It's like, no, I have bodily autonomy. If I don't want to hug my grandpa, I don't have to hug my grandpa. I mean, I understand that he's my grandpa, but like if I am really, really, really not feeling it, I shouldn't have to do it. And there's this like whole generation and going all the way back of people who were like, you didn't have a choice. You had to go and hug that creepy grandpa who you don't remember because the last time you saw you were like 4 years old and now you're 8 or something. And it's just the whole issue of, yeah, consent basically.
Well, and I'm certainly not saying that we should compel people to hug and touch.
Mhm.
That's just as ridiculous as not touching. Um,
And
you know,
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying like I remember as a child the whole you know my grandmother was she creeped me out as a kid. And every time we would go and visit her, there was this, you had to hug your grandma, and I didn't like it because she creeped me out. She was elderly. She was hooked up to a lot of machines at the time, so it was a very unnatural situation. Not unnatural. Um, Unfamiliar would be the word I was actually looking for. Situation for me as like a 5-year old, and so it was very. you know, one of those things where it was like she scares me because she looks like a cyborg. I don't know what's going on type situation. And but it was always the she's your grandma, you have to give her a hug, or she's your cousin, you got to give your cousin a hug.
Yeah, and I absolutely don't agree with it. In fact, I've even had my nephew's wife tell her daughters, "You got to go hug Auntie Jen," and no, they don't. I could tell that they were uncomfortable with it, the kids, and it's like, no, you don't. It's all right. Because it's as important as touching and hugging is to me. Not forcing people is just as important to me. Because I've always recognized personal space, and I certainly still do today. But the condemnation that has seemingly become so much more universal of it is just bizarre to me.
Hmm.
I think I'm going to hop out of here, fellas. It's like getting close to my bedtime, and I've already been drifting.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Doc.
Yep.
Especially
Yep. I like.
appreciate you, starting out with me before everyone else got here.
Yep. I like to
Sorry, I
join these
would.
when. Yeah. I like to join these when I can. I got a weird schedule.
Yeah. Well, I probably would have done better if I'd actually been able to start out on time, but well, and actually, the subject we're on here with the touch and all is probably going to be covered more in tomorrow night's. Yeah, my
Oh no,
subject for tomorrow night's is dealing with family because I know with the holidays coming up, a lot of people are going to have issues like this.
no, I didn't mean to step on your subject.
Oh no, that's okay. I just probably should have put something in it a little sooner to put a pin in it till tomorrow night. But
Well, I'm afraid I may have upset Tria here. I will have to drop her a note and apologize. Um, but if you happen to run into her, please let her know. I certainly didn't intend on offending her.
yeah, um, I think it's just it. For a moment there, it seemed like it was starting to get into a shouting match of people talking over each other, and I think we need to be better about avoiding that.
Yeah, I apologize for raising my voice there. I just I shouldn't have brought up Biden. That was a really bad choice because
Yeah,
I realized
it was a bad, yeah,
that's a radioactive topic right now.
a bad
Um,
example.
yeah, it was, and I just you know fine, it's bad. Let's just go past.
Yep.
Bad example. Sorry.
Oh,
Alrighty, kids. We'll catch you on the flizzle.
okay, we'll catch you later,
Take care,
Doc.
Doc.
Yep. Have a good day, guys.
Bye bye. Has anybody watched the new Star Wars trailer?
No.
No, I really haven't been interested in the last several Star Wars movies. They kind of ruined it for me. But to be fair, I have to say that even watching the originals at this point, they're not as good as I remember them being, just because the special effects and so much have moved on so much. And when the original ones first came out in the 70s, I could overlook a lot of problems with the story because the special effects seemed so dazzling.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like, now that I'm not impressed by the special effects, I see that the writing's really mediocre.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand people who say they're into retro gaming because it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, back when I was 12 years old, the Quest for Glory series was the best thing ever. And now I'm an adult trying to go back and play that same game again, and it's like I don't understand how I was able to play this.
I
I
used to play.
like some of the retro arcade games, but yeah, nothing that's really trying to build much of a story.
I used to play Lunar Lander um,
Oh yeah,
in the bars. Pump $20 into that machine
I
and just play
remember
and
that
play
in
it
the
and play it and
bars, and I
play it.
remember having a version of that for one of my home video games.
And it is so totally boring now. It's like, oh, come on, can't you move any faster?
Yeah. Well, I
um,
still remember, when the Pong machines first came out, way before anyone had home video machines, and we had to go to the bowling alley to play that.
I remember learning that you could put English on the Pong
Yep.
and thinking that, I learned a secret I'm not going to tell anybody. And it lasted for a couple months, and then everybody else figured it out too.
Oh, at Con of the North, there's always one of the retro games they've been running um, is called Mini Maze, and it's run on the Atari ST computers from the 80s, and the guy that runs this has somehow manages every year to cobble together at least a dozen of these machines into a network. And the basic idea is it's like Pac-Man meets Rambo. That, like, you're the Pac-Man, this little ball running around inside the maze, but you have weapons available, so you have to hunt down the other players and shoot them. So it's an interesting sort of weird surreal shooter game because you do see everybody as just being a different colored ping pong ball with a face. So
I
I
don't know. I
guess I
really
went
haven't.
totally off there on something that no one else has ever heard of.
Nope, I've never heard of that. I was not a big arcade game player. I liked Luderlander. I liked Space Invaders. I liked Frogger. Um, and I really can't remember any others.
I've actually been tempted to pick up one of the Atari retro consoles just because there's probably a good dozen games in there that I would play.
Well, can't you get something like phone size, a smartphone size retro gaming things now?
Well, yeah, you can. It's a matter of the screen size. I just like to pick up one that I could connect to the TV, so I've got the large screen.
Mm. Yeah, can you imagine Pong on a 52-inch flat screen?
Yeah.
Still boring. Oh, I played Brickles too.
Hubert,
I do have on my computer. I've got. Is anyone familiar with the game Zuma, where
Mm-mm.
you're this frog spitting different colored billiard balls, and you have to line up balls of the same color to get them to disappear before they reach the exit hole at the end. And I've
No,
I've been playing that, but unfortunately, all I got for that is a demo version. And I've looked online, and I can't find a complete version that I can download. You know, I and I'd be willing to pay for it if I could find the full version, but I can't locate one.
mm,
Doorknob's a Zumba fan. Orla too.
Yeah, yeah. There was kind of a series of them. There was Zuma, and there was Zuma's Revenge. And then there was another one called Luxor, which was kind of similar. But for the Zuma games, generally, it's like the frog was in the center, and spinning every direction. The Luxor game was a very similar thing, but instead of being in the center, the shooter was just a sliding bar on the bottom.
Oh, that's PopCap games.
Yeah, they were.
Which
But,
one are you looking to get on full version?
well, even when I've tried to look up PopCap games, I wind up dead.
Audio's dropping.
What's that?
It sounded like you dropped out for half a sentence.
Oh, I didn't know. It's been kind of, from what I hear, doing that to everyone today.
What really ruined me for arcade games and home television console games was when PCs started to have complex games available. Um, I was addicted to flight simulator games, and then suddenly Air Warrior came out on the Genie network that you could get into. That was like AOL except more advanced. And they had Air Warrior as the first online multiplayer shoot 'em up, and there would be three different teams up to, what was it? I think 20 people, 25 people per team, and it was all international online crap, and it was like, holy cow! It was only 8-bit black and white, but it was better than any console game because you're actually competing against humans, and the complexity of people's ability to think and strategize and stuff. So it was.
Well, see, I could get into that one if it was more strategy games, but unfortunately, I could never do the flight simulators. I just, I don't have that great a reflex time.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
very,
wasn't the best at it
very
either.
ponderous thinker. I need, a chance to figure out the various options to the problem. I don't react quickly.
Mm.
No, I never did play Descent Cripple.
So, what kind of game? So you like games where you have to think?
Yeah, if I'm playing against other people, I need thinking time. I can't
Mm,
just react.
right.
So
Yeah,
I'm much more into the heavier strategy games.
So, mm, I've currently been getting into well, I play an MMO all the time called Black Desert Online. I'm playing it right now while we're talking, but I'm not really playing it properly. I'm playing it like an AFK game. But I've been really getting into like AFK games, and these are basically games where when you want to play it, there's strategy. There's which character do I use? What skills do I position? Where do I position them on the map? Stuff like that. Um, and you can play actively for a little bit, and then you just decide, oh, I'm done, and you let it run, and the game continues to play itself in a most basic manner. So, for example, I'm playing a game called AFK Arena. Um, and in that game, you receive heroes, you find heroes, and you decide what heroes you're going to use. Like, do I need a tank? Like, do I want to have a tank, or do I want to have an agility character who just kills really quick, or do I want to have a mage, or do I need this healer? And so then you can play, and there's stages where you look at your opponents and you're like, okay, I don't want my healer facing up against this agility character, so I'm going to move them around so that they're not fighting head to head. And then you go in and you fight the level and you see if you win. But when you're done playing, you just put your phone to sleep or you turn the game off, and while you're away, it continues to rack up gold and experience for you, so that when you come back, you can be like, oh, okay, I've got a bunch of experience here. Let me level up this hero. Now my hero is stronger, and I can go into more levels.
So your character becomes a bot,
Yeah,
basically?
when you're not playing yet, it kind of becomes like a little bot.
Huh.
Hmm.
Well, when your character's running as a bot, don't they tend to get killed off by the human characters rather
Yeah, that's what I was
easily?
just thinking.
So in this one, there is a PvP um, aspect to it. There's like a PvP arena, but basically what you do is you set up a formation with your heroes, and then it happens automatically. Like it becomes almost like a normal. So I'm probably explaining this really bad, but there's a progression. There's areas like area 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, and you just go through and you're fighting mobs. Um, but when you're not doing that, your characters are sitting at the bottom of the screen and they're being flooded with enemy mobs to kill, and that's how they're earning the gold and the money, is because they're constantly fighting. You go into the AFK arena and you say, okay, I want these 5 heroes to represent me in the arena. And so then it almost becomes like your characters become NPCs for other players. So like they can see my name and they can see what heroes I have, and they can decide if they want to fight me. If they fight me, they win, they go up in rank, I go down in rank, but my characters don't die permanently. So 10 minutes later, somebody else can find me and be like, I'll fight her, and they'll win or they'll lose. I tend to have my formation set up so that people can defeat me easily. That way they can progress and do their thing without having to think about it too much if they don't want to.
But don't you lose your characters then?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
You lose points in a ranking system that I don't care about. And since I don't
Ah,
care about the ranking, that's why I set my characters to be easy to kill. That way people who want to advance the rankings, and because when you go into the PvP aspect of it, you're given 5 people to fight and they're about your rank. Like you have an overall rank, which is all of your characters combined, and that's your rank. And then you have a formation rank, which is the 5 characters that you play with, and that their rank. So I'm like 127,000 is my rank. So people go in the PvP area, and they have around my level, they can choose to fight me. Well, since I don't care, I put my stuff really low. That way they can pull up 5 random people, and if they get me in their random draw, they have an easy fight rather than a hard fight, which some people go balls deep and put all their strongest characters there so that like they're really hard to defeat. And then they stay at like rank 1. But
I'm currently involved with PUBG. I play the mobile version because I don't have a computer.
mhm.
Um, and I'm completely addicted to the game. I enjoy it thoroughly. It's a 100-player battle royale first
Mhm.
person shooter. You can play it first person or third person. I play first person because I think third person is too easy. Because you can see around corners and stuff like that, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not very real. Um,
Mhm.
but I like having to strategize, having to be quick when you get into a close combat situation. Um, I like the gun skills that you have to develop if you're going to not walk into a hot zone and having to be shooting every 5 seconds to just survive. I'd rather sit on the perimeter and snipe people.
Mhm.
It's creepy, but I like it.
You a sniper bitch.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into any of the really online multiplayer games, mostly just because I know that, to gain any levels or anything, you've got to spend a fairly good amount of time with them, and I don't have that amount of time available. I can barely keep up with YouTube.
The other reason I picked PUBG is because it's free to download, free to play. No cost involved if you so choose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I
I don't
definitely
like.
would have to go with the free ones on my budget, but
I generally pick games that are uh pay to play. You buy it once and then you can just play it whenever you want. Just because I like to try and support the creators a little bit. Um, but AFK Arena and this other game I'm playing called Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, those are all free. The Black Desert Online game that I'm playing, that one's a pay to play where I paid like $60 for it, but I paid that like 2 years ago. So
well, if it's paying for it one time is no big deal. So many of these now are subscription services that you've got to be paying for them every month.
oh yeah, I used to play a lot of games like that. Like I used to play EverQuest, which was a buy to play and then pay to play.
Yeah,
And then I played a bunch of them, but I've gotten to the point where I just want to buy it and be able to play it.
yeah. And then the
Yeah,
games where, you're spending real money to buy weapons and armor in the game,
Hmm.
and it's like,
Microtransactions. Yep.
yeah, and
that's
too much
crazy.
of that comes down to whoever can afford to spend the most money is the one who's going to win, and that's never going to be me.
Well,
Yeah.
And
No.
that's the
That's
same
it.
reason why I never got into the collectible card games, like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon.
Hmm. Right. Um. But no. But the thing with Magic the Gathering and Pokemon is that you can get lucky in the general manner. You know, you buy a deck of cards and maybe you actually get something that's really good for once or something. Whereas you see what you're talking about is those are foxes. I don't want foxes. What you're talking about is pay to play, pay to win, basically. Where um,
hello. Oh,
sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. See, there's two models. There's pay to win, and then there's microtransactions. Pay to win is what you were just describing, Purple, where you have to buy weapons and buy armor, um, and do all this other stuff to make uh in order to play the game. But there are other games like Black Desert Online that I'm playing. Everything that you can buy is convenience. It doesn't automatically make you the winner, but it can help you advance some. For example, a scroll that gives you double XP for an hour so you can level up faster. Or cosmetic stuff like outfits that make your make your character look slightly different.
yeah. In PUBG, you cannot buy any weapons. All the weapon profiles remain the same for everybody at all times. Um, all the armor profiles stay the same for everybody at all times. You can't buy extra, um, and the armor that you do have can get damaged. All they make their money in outfits, which is insane on a couple of levels. I mean, these guys get, um, in some cases, you'd have to spend 20, 30, 40, $50 for an outfit for your character, and then you never see it because you're playing first person. All you see is the tip of your fingers.
Now
Now,
the game that I'm playing is it's called Black Desert Online, and they do the same thing. Uh their money making scheme is oop, I just took my thing off. Uh is costumes. So like your character has a default look. Let me see. Let me see. Maybe I can show you
Okay,
guys.
I have to step away for a minute.
Okay. Well, when he comes back, I'll show you guys cuz whoops, I pushed the wrong button again. Um uh,
in PUBG, they have two different ranking systems. One is the actual gameplay, um, that then ranks you according to everybody else on the planet who plays the game. And then there's a couple of other schemes, bonus point schemes,
mhm.
a royal points scheme, and those you can actually buy rank, spend money and rank yourself up and get these other goodies and stuff. Again, which do not affect the gameplay, only the appearance. Um, and I just won't do it. I mean, I understand these guys are doing this for free, But
Hmm.
there's enough people who are buying all the outfits and stuff that they don't need my money too.
Right. Let me see. I'm actually going to share my main screen for once.
Ooh. Whack your boss, whack your teacher.
What?
Orla's saying, have you heard of the Whack Your X game series? There's a bunch
No.
like Whack Your Boss or Whack Your Teacher. Is it like Whack a Mole? I grew up in Milwaukee, getting back to conventions, and Milwaukee, people from Milwaukee invented what I believe is the first game related convention. It was called Gen Con,
Hmm.
and it ran in Milwaukee for geez, I think almost 20 years. And then they decided to move it out to LA or something like that.
Okay.
Hmm.
People were furious.
So
Pirate
purple.
Kitty, you ready there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gen Con wasn't really the first one. It certainly got to be the biggest. And that was
Okay.
mostly to do with, TSR, the company that made Dungeons and Dragons, was located there.
I was just going to say I recognize that name. So this is the game that I play, Black Desert, right? And what you're seeing right now is my character's default look. And then you can come over here and you can spend money and you can buy, say, this outfit. Or
And
let
you
me see.
create your own body type too?
Yeah, my character is actually really chunky. When I take her clothes off, she don't look so good. But
So you can't do that in PUBG, and I always wish that you could.
so like this is an outfit that I have, the one that my character is wearing now. It's colored slightly different. And then where's do they still have the other one, the first one that I bought? Oh, this one. And then there's this one that I have. And like these cost basically $29 an outfit. But
Hmm.
all the stuff that they sell, like pets, like you can buy little pets. Like there's a little ferret pet.
Aww.
And I bet I bought it and named it after my pet ferret Malcolm that passed away. Or you can have a marmot. Let's see, is the crab still here? So there's this one. It's a stone crab. And where's the one? There we. Okay, one of my friends bought this one, and I told him he needed to name it Ringo
Why Ringo?
Because.
because it's a beetle, and it's got a star on its back.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's Ringo Starr of the
Oh, because, oh,
Beatles.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
kind
there's
of
some.
got that just after I said it.
Mm-hmm. And then there's like the pets are around $10 a piece, depending on their level. There's cheaper ones like basic dog. Oh, he's horrible looking.
Do they actually
Base.
follow you around in the game then?
Yep, they do. Let me see. See, there's my pets right there. My cat, my little bird, a polar bear,
Can
and
they get killed by the opponent?
no, they serve the function that they serve is as a looting um aid.
Oh,
So like
okay.
if I kill 40 mobs at the same time, the pets run around and collect all the loot. And then they offer buffs and stuff that make stuff again faster. So nothing that they sell in this game in the marketplace except for costumes a little bit. Because the costumes all have buffs, and then the costumes can also be tore up and used to enhance other gear. But it's not really worth it in my book. But yeah, I don't know why I got on that tangent.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
In PUBG they use the need for looting. Everybody parachute drops in with no weaponry, no armor,
Right.
and you have to run around finding that stuff. And they also force the game by a ever decreasing play area.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're outside of it, you die. And the smaller the circle gets, the faster your health can deteriorate, and all kinds of stuff. So some guys who are on the PC version and very advanced with it have all kinds of privileges that the game authors give them. This one guy, his name is Wacky Jackie. He's a Danish fellow. He sets up all kinds of strange scenarios. He recently figured out how to set up road racing within PUBG, where everybody gets a vehicle, and then he plots out a course on the roads that are in the map. Um, and then he gets other players and assigns them as kill zones, so that you have to race. You're racing your opponents, but then you enter in these portions of the track where you've got some guy with weaponry who can take you or anybody else out. Anybody else out. It really makes for quite a fun thing to watch as a spectator,
Oh,
even. Um, and I guess they liked his idea so much they actually established some of those features into the game in one of the updates.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it is kind of neat. It seems like a fairly interesting community that it does take input from its users and does make changes based on that input.
Okay, well, um, I was running late today, and stuff I was supposed to get done before this started, I didn't get done.
Mm-hmm.
So I do need to close this down kind of early here,
Okay.
so I can get to things before stores and such close around here. Which around here everything closes at 5 o'clock, so I've got about 2 hours.
All right.
Okay, so either of you have anything going on? Pirate Kitty, do you have?
Nope. Nothing right now.
I
Okay,
have I have some news that I can share.
okay, Jen, what?
Um, Tonight there's going to be a big meeting with all the people who are part of Friday movie night from Strike, and we're going to be trying to develop a way and method to continue movie night on, and I expect it's going to be successful. So the community can start thinking about movie night coming back.
Yes, I had heard there were things in the works about that, but I wasn't in on any of the details.
Yep. Well, the details are going to start to be planned on tonight.
Okay,
So look for it in the near future, folks.
well that would really be something nice to bring that back. Just because it was a lot of fun, and also as an ongoing memorial to Psy.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
really neat. His family is going to be involved. His daughter and one of his nieces are very interested in being part of it,
Yeah,
and they want to do it and honor him. So it's not like everybody's looking to change it or anything like that.
yeah.
It's just how are we going to do this? Who's going to do what? And when's it going to be? And more of that kind of planning than anything else. So um,
Oh, and
it should
speaking of
continue.
memorial, just in case anyone hadn't heard, we've lost another member of the community. That Sunday, Bill
Oh,
Ludlow
right.
died.
I didn't know him well. I was just starting to pick up on him recently.
Yeah, I didn't know him personally, but I was following his channel. He I liked uh, just his manner of presentation was very appealing, and of course, paleontology is one of my hobbies, so it's like I said, I didn't feel a personal connection with him. To me, it's kind of like a celebrity death.
Right.
Yeah. Well, again, I'd just like to apologize to you two and everyone in the chat for being such a buzzkill today. Um, if you will have me back, I promise I will not allow myself to get in that idiot framework again.
Well, like I say, I think it got a little heated there. I think we just need to be a little more, a little more calm with putting our points across and not trying to talk over each other.
And I'll try to pick things that don't get me that way to begin with, because it's just not a good
Yep.
look.
Okay, well, and thank you to everybody in the side chat there. Nobody's typed anything recently, so I don't know who's still around, but it's showing we still got 7 people here.
Well, I wish you all a good day.
Okay,
Yep.
so and tomorrow night I will be doing the Midnight Mid America, Thursday at midnight Central Time,
Hmm.
and that's going to be about dealing with family and particularly with the holiday season coming up of, how you deal with your family at family gatherings, which in my case is a lot of dealing with huge groups of people at events that I'd rather not go to if I could find any way out of them, but usually don't have a choice.
Ugh.
But, I know other people have very different perspectives, and some people, these kind of family gatherings are very exciting things. So, everybody's welcome to come in, and however you feel about your family, come in and talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so goodbye for now. See you all later.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, and disconnecting from YouTube.